It's 1:32. Is staff ready? Ms. Sanchez? Okay. Okay, the time's now 1:32. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Corpus Christi B Corporation, Type B Board. It's January 11th. I'm President Scott Harris. We'll start with calling the roll call. Ms. Huerta?
President Scott Harris.
Present.
Robert Thames is absent. Diana Summers.
Present.
Leah Oliveri.
Present.
Lee Trujillo.
Present.
John Valls. Here. Alan Wilson.
Here.
Michael Hunter. Mr. Hunter? I understand he's here. He must just have his mic
Here.
off. Oh, there he is. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries. Okay, we do have a quorum present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Item C on the agenda is public comment. I have a note here that no public comment was received. Is that verified?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Item D is our minutes from the board meeting we had October 19th. Is that correct? Or what about our November meeting? Or we didn't have a B meeting in November, did we? Okay.
We had
very
a
well.
November 16th A meeting, that's right.
Okay, so October 19th, our regular meeting minutes, has the board had a chance to review those? Are there any corrections to those?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed say no. Okay, motion carries. Item E on the agenda is our financial report for the B Corporation. Ms. Heather? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Do we have
Happy
Wendy's
New Year.
all the way up here?
I'm Heather Hurlbert, Director of Finance. Next page, please. So we have the financial position for the 2 months ended November 30th. We began fiscal year 21, which began October 1 of 2020, with a fund balance of $7.9 million. We've had revenues to date of $1.2 million, almost $1.3 million, expenditures to date of $23,000, and our ending fund balance of 9.1, almost 9.2 million. And this does incorporate funds for our affordable housing, economic development, and streets. If you look on that page, you see that streets does have a negative fund balance, and that's due to the fact that we have a commitment of $3 million for the project, for the Ocean Drive reconstruction, which we'll be spending over the period of the year, but we did want to go ahead and show that, and we will be receiving sufficient revenue to cover that during the fiscal year. Next slide, please. So then affordable housing, currently we have one commitment of $500,000 that is scheduled to be paid out in 2022. Next slide, please. We have our economic development, which we do have multiple commitments that are going to be paid over fiscal year 21 currently through fiscal year 24. Next slide, please. And we do show that that economic development will receive a repayment from the streets funds. The economic development fund did lend the street funds to make sure some projects could get completed, and so we have that scheduled to be paid back in 2022. And then on the streets, we have the project of the Ocean Drive reconstruction that is a commitment for fiscal year 21. And then fiscal year 22, you see that transfer that'll be transferring back to the Economic Development Fund. Next slide, please. So within the fiscal year, we've collected 2 months of sales tax. We have, our sales tax have been coming in over what we had budgeted, and so we are about $128,000 over what we had budgeted. So we have great aspirations and hope that we will continue with that trend this year and help make up for some of the sales tax that we lost last year due to the downturn in the economy. And that does conclude my presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, ma'am. I like the format of the report now.
Okay,
It's
thank you.
very clear. Did any of the board members have any questions or comments?
What was the $500,000 for the Salvation Army? Can you refresh my memory on that?
That is what that was under the affordable housing, and I'm not sure, do you remember what that,
It was
sorry, I
in
don't remember
support
what
of
that
their
project
building.
is.
Their new building, I believe.
Is that what it was? The
Yeah.
new building?
It's
Amy?
their new building, and it's to finance transitional housing for homeless persons transitioning back into the workforce and the
Is that the one
primary
off
housing.
across town?
Is that where, I'm sorry?
Is that it?
Yeah, the new building
Yeah, they're
at
building it right
Crosstown.
off Crosstown, yeah.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
they were going to build the building, but to get the transitional housing, they requested funding.
Oh, they had transitional housing in there,
Right.
right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Heather.
Sure. Thank you, Amy.
Any virtual questions or comments from anybody out there? Okay. Hear none, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll go to our regular agenda items. We'll start with G3, which is a motion to approve an amendment to the business incentive agreement between the B Corporation and Next Sports Company LLC. Do we have a staff presentation on this item?
Scott, this is Ian Vasey. I mean, I can address it if you wish, and I don't know if I can't see if Heather's coming up to the mic. Okay.
Yeah, I can go ahead and introduce it. Ian Basie is here for any questions. So what this is the Next Sports Agreement had come to the board towards the end of last year. And there was a commitment within that agreement to secure funding within 90 days. Due to some of the economic situations we're in right now, we have asked for an extension to extend that deadline and actually have two different deadlines for the securing of the financing, which would be a phase 1 and a phase 2. As you remember, this was going to be built in 2 different phases, and we were going to do the incentives in 2 different phases also. So what they are requesting is that the phase 1 will be extended until July, let's see, I'm sorry, I just lost my dates on here.
May?
There we go, May 2021 for phase 1, and then for phase 2, it'd be December 2022.
December
with
1st.
with the completion of the construction on November 2023. So this is just sliding the timeline slightly.
Okay. Ian, did you have anything to add?
Just want to thank the board for the consideration we've been working through with the company. And obviously, there's moving pieces, and this didn't necessarily come out of the applicant. It came out of the bank that they're working with. So it wasn't really initiated by them. They Mike especially has been working and talking with the bankers that are involved in this, and the way that they're structuring it, it came out of the bank folks really, and how the banks want to structure the financing.
Okay. So at this time, does the board have any comments or questions concerning this item?
I do.
Mr. Smith? No, John, go ahead. I see Mr. Smith right there.
I'll take it.
Inside
Is that a
joke.
promotion or a demotion? Either way. Okay.
No, go ahead,
Thank
John.
you, Scott. I appreciate that. A couple of things here. So we're now moving the goalposts 5 months. We gave them 3 months. Now that's a total of 8 months to secure the financing. Where are the hiccups? And if they don't secure the financing for phase 1 by May of this year, does that void everything? So there's no need to move on to phase 2?
So if they aren't able to secure the financing by May, they can come back and ask for another extension. My understanding in talking with Mike and Ian is that the applicant feels very comfortable with this, that we set these as realistic based off of what they're receiving feedback from their from the banks that are financing this. And so unless something extraordinary happens, they don't foresee the need to have this deadline slip any further.
Okay.
Yeah,
because
I would
think
second what Heather said there, John. This is coming out of the banks, and the conversation we're having is about how they handle, I think it's, and I'm going to use the number, Heather, isn't it a 504 loan? I think they're
I'm not
they're
sure.
one of the things that they're using, just how it's structured. And then it's, going to the bank wanted it to bifurcate it into the 2 phases. And I suppose it's how they collateralize it rather than the single bank loan right away. That's why it's in 2 phases. And this is coming out of the bank and how they want to finance the fields and then the stadium piece separately.
Well, I can appreciate that, and I'll defer to Alan, our resident banker. But, this is we just don't want to get in a position where we're approving these types of deals. We keep moving the goalposts, and then they just kind of, falter. And then everybody's got egg on their face.
Sure. So one thing,
I can understand, an initial request for an extension, but if they can't secure the financing by May, I think that the deal is dead. I don't think we keep moving that goalpost.
sure.
I don't like to do that, because then that's not the real deal. I mean, we took some flack for this in the very beginning when we did it. That's why we set an aggressive timeline of
Exactly.
90 days, because they assured us they could do it.
Yeah.
And now here they are coming asking for 5 more months. And it's a great project. I just don't want us to have egg on our face, and we keep moving, the goalpost. And then at the end of the day, we're the ones with egg on our face.
Sure. And that's very understandable. Unfortunately, we are in some very extraordinary financing times right now with the uncertainty. But the phase 1 is what the primary incentive is for, which is those general use fields. The phase 2 is more of the kind of the topping on the cake, the stadium and the extra and improvements that are not actually going to be incentivized. So, I think, like I said, the applicant felt comfortable with this and felt these were very realistic timelines.
And I can appreciate we're in challenging times, but I don't think we can really use that excuse of, the financial climate. Banks are lending money like crazy. Our sales tax numbers are through the roof. So I don't know if it's that challenging anymore, to borrow money. I serve on the board of a local credit union. We're killing it. I mean, we're making, auto loans like crazy and mortgages. So I just want to make sure that this is the real deal. And I know Ian and his team have vetted it.
Sure.
I just don't like extension and extension and extension. Sure. And if they don't secure phase 1, then there's no reason for phase 2.
Exactly.
Obviously. So, I want us to have some deadlines. If they can't get it by May, and I hope they do, and I hope you guys are successful, because we've already stuck our neck out, then that's it.
Sure.
In my opinion. It's up to the board.
Sure.
But, to keep moving the goalposts. Now, Alan's our resident banker who knows all about, the financing complexity, so I'll defer to him. And I know that, the developer has a good team with him, so who are very credible. I'm confident they're going to make it happen. The reason for this is so that the developer and the team know that, at least in my opinion, I don't want to keep moving the goalpost.
Okay.
If you can't make this development a reality, then let us put our money somewhere else.
Sure.
But I wish them all the success.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Scott.
Before we go to Mr. Wilson, I wanted to see if there was any other comments or questions from the board members online.
I have a question about 504. That's the SBA type financing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so if I understand it correctly, not to say anything, and Alan may speak to this, just because you go for 504 and something happens doesn't mean you can't go back conventionally. It's just a question of the interest rate. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it just changes how they structure it. And again, it's the banks that pretty much decide how they wanted to do this. And they're working with a very, very credible local bank who we all know.
Okay. Yeah, but they may, if something goes bad in the SBA process, they can always retreat to conventional financing. It's just, they're probably trying to do him a favor. That was my only question. Thank you.
Thanks, Leah. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, I'm going to move to Mr. Wilson. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 504 loans are notorious for taking a long time to get done, especially during a holiday, Thanksgiving. Well, I don't do many 504 loans. For that reason, we like to go faster than that. But it does serve, it has a particular structure that's advantageous to the lender and to the borrowers, but there's a lot of paperwork with it. It takes long. So I think that this is a legitimate request.
Thank you.
Okay. So, hearing no further questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve
So
the
moved.
amendment.
Approved. Second?
Second? Go
Okay.
ahead, John.
Who made the motion? Was it Alan?
Mr. Wilson?
Okay. Mr. Wilson made the motion. We have a second.
Give
All
it
in
to
favor,
John.
say aye.
Lee and Dia?
Okay. Okay. Any opposed? Say no. Okay. Motion
So,
passes.
okay, voted aye, unanimous, okay.
Okay.
Mr. Thumma is absent.
Yes. Item 4 on the agenda is a motion approving the 2021 Corpus Christi B Corporation meeting calendar. Do we have a presentation on this, or is it, okay. Randy?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, President, honorable board members, Randy Almaguer, Senior Management Analyst. Item number 4 before you is the proposed meeting calendar. For proper planning for both staff and the board, staff is proposing the third Monday of the month at 1:30 for months February through November of this year. For December's meeting, staff is proposing the second Monday of the month at 1:30. That's pretty much it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Say no. Okay, the motion passes. That was quick, Randy. Thank you. Item 5 on the agenda is a motion authorizing allocation of additional funds in an amount not to exceed 797,625.
Okay,
for Cole
I've got
Park
a
Pier.
presentation on this.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Pull that up. Jeff Edmonds, Director of Engineering Services. As you stated, this is a request to authorize additional funds for the Cole Park Pier project. Next. Okay, Cole Park's had a fishing pier since the 30s. The current pier was built in 1971, so it's almost 50 years old. And of course, the condition has been deteriorating very rapidly for several years. Funding was added in Bond 18 for the Cole Park and Dimmitt fishing piers. Unfortunately, the pier didn't last until we could do the project to refurbish it, and early 2018, it actually, first span fell into the water, and we've restricted access to it ever since then. Next. Okay, at the time that the funding was put in Bond 18, it was understood that that was just a first installment, that wasn't going to be adequate funding to complete both of those projects. So you may recall Keith Selman, Assistant City Manager, came before the Type B and requested support of the project back last September, and Type B agreed to pledge $4.4 million for the project. Actually, I think that might have been 4.2. That's a typo. There's another one on here too. We've been seeking some external funding. They've pursued various grant funding angles and haven't come up with anything to supplement city funds. Next slide. We went through a design process on this. It sought a lot of public input. Based on that public input, the new design included a lot of new amenities and features, wider pier, shade structures, and plaza, and also on the pier, seating, more parking, electrical improvements, better lighting, and we're maintaining the length at 500 feet. Next slide. Okay. Here's my second typo. So we completed the design. and put the project out for bid last November. It should say 2020, not 2018. We received 3 bids on December 9th. Lowest bid was submitted by J.M. Davidson of Aransas Pass in the amount of just over $7.5 million. That lowest bid unfortunately exceeds the currently available funds. Now, we had the number 1, number 2 bids were very close. We feel those are competitive bids, and we feel like this was just a situation of the engineer's estimate being lower than the market value of the construction we were wanting to buy. We took this to council, and they awarded the contract to the lowest bidder. The way we were able to do that is we sort of borrowed money from general fund reserve, unreserved fund balance, in order to certify the funds. But the expectation was that those funds would be returned, and that we were going to negotiate de-scoping with the contractor to get within the available funds. And at the same time, try and see if we could fill the funding gap with any additional funding. Hence request today. Next slide. So we need to come up with about $2.2 million to be able to do the full project as designed, and anything south of that will be taking out some of the features that were shown on the design. If we have to go the full $2.2 million, unfortunately, that'll remove most of the architectural features and the landside improvements. So what staff is requesting of Type B today is to increase their financial commitment to around $5 million, which means an increase of $797,625. And we're going to seek to fund the remainder of that shortfall from other sources. And that's my final slide. I'll entertain any questions.
Thanks, Jeff. Do we have any questions from the board at this time? Any questions online? Okay. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed, say no. I say aye also. That's 4. I didn't hear Leah or Diana.
Neither did I. Are y'all online?
I'm sorry.
Yes, there she is.
Okay,
I voted no, sorry.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. So on the Cole Park Pier item, you voted no, Ms. Oliveri, okay,
That's correct.
all right.
okay.
So I have Trujillo, aye, Walls. Ms. Summers, did you vote? I don't hear, okay. So I'll put her absent, the Ms. Then we have Wilson and Harris, so that's 4.
Okay. Okay. We have majority, so the motion passes. So, okay, thanks, Jeff, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, no public hearings or presentation items for this meeting. Next on the agenda is executive director comments.
We have no comments for today, thank you.
No comments? What about future agenda items from staff?
No, sir.
Okay. Any input, quick input from the board on future agenda items? Okay. Okay, so hearing none, the time is now 1:56, and I'll call this meeting to adjournment 4 minutes before we start the next meeting.